Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. I'm going to go over some Q posts real quick just to get it out of the way. It's stuff that I want to talk about. I had some complaints in previous videos that people said they want me to spend more time on the posts, and I agree, man. I agree. Totally. So, this is just a couple days ago. This is post 1489. It's talking about mainstream media attacks, round 2. Mossad attempts failed. Clown attempts failed. Expect a bigger push. Now, I want to point this word out to you. I don't think I've seen that before in the Q post. Mossad attempts failed. So they're starting to heat it up. I think the Mossad stuff's out in the open now. I talk about the problems that I see in the world. I kind of talk about how it looks like Israel is a central figure to that. Everybody that you get your information from is all pro-Israel, or they have dual citizenships to Israel, or they're Jewish. So like how would you ever know? How would you ever know, man, if people like me aren't talking about something else? How would you ever know? How would you ever have a clue? You wouldn't. All right? So I just want to tell you that I'm going to read the rest of this post so you understand what you're up against. Mossad attempts failed. Round 2. Mainstream media attacks. Round 2. Mossad attempts failed. Clown attempts failed. But that's not what they said first. They said Mossad attempts failed. Now, Mossad is like the CIA for Israel, if you didn't know that. Bad dudes, bad people. Expect a bigger push. So they lost the first round, now we're going to round 2, expect a bigger push. The FBI has 4 open investigations. So there's been a whole bunch out on like Whatfinger and the Drudge Report about the fallout of that OIG report. And I'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. I don't want to spend a lot of time on one subject at a time. I'd like to kind of like weave this stuff together and give you a big picture overview of what's happening. Because it's difficult. You get lost in one of these stories and you don't know how it relates to anything, right? So I'll show you some stuff here in a minute that's pretty cool. Stuff I covered 6 months ago. It was like my 3rd video. You're seeing it now, 6 months later. Okay, my 3rd video on the web was something that no one on the internet talked about. And now, 6 months later, it just came back up. So I was able to go back and watch my own video and get 9 minutes of background on that, which I thought was awesome. Okay, so here's the part that I'm going to bring your attention to in a focused way. So just pay attention to this. 8chan has a risk of DDoS plus injections. So now they're worried that it's possible that the QAnon stuff is going to be knocked down so you can't go read the posts, and that they might be able to push fake posts out on the board. I guess that's how I'm reading it, man. I don't know. But it says, together you are stronger. Together you control the narrative and the response. People respond to logic and facts. People sleeping, okay, they attach themselves to opinions and personalities and groupthink. And this is what I am fighting against, if you can't tell what I'm up against here. So I was early on board, man. I ejected Tracy Beans from the conversation because she wouldn't support the Internet Bill of Rights, and that's the only thing I care about. I think the Internet Bill of Rights is the end. Okay? Once we get First Amendment protections applied to public locations online, such as a public social media account, a publicly owned social media company, right? Until we get guaranteed First Amendment freedom of speech rights applied to the online discussion, we don't have a chance of unrolling all this cultural sickness. We have cultural sickness. I don't agree with gay marriage. We had same-sex civil unions, which gave them every legal advantage, that marriage gets, except for I don't know, I saw like death of loved ones. So there was like maybe one thing they couldn't do. Why didn't we just apply that one thing they couldn't do? Why do we got to call it the same thing? Now we're going to let them go after bakers who don't want to use their artistic means of cake baking to bake stuff that is in direct conflict with their personal beliefs, their religious freedoms. So thank God we just won that court case. Here's what I think. I think if Hillary Clinton had the White House, if Trump didn't win, I'm positive we would have lost that court case with the gay cake thing. Positive. Would have totally happened. Why do you think we got Obamacare? Everybody thought that was going to fail. How could you tax somebody for not buying a service? How is that possible? Stephen Breyer. Kennedy. Okay, we got a justice named Justice Kennedy, and people keep calling him a moderate, and he's never a moderate, man. Justice Kennedy is never a moderate. So, I don't have an allegiance to anybody online. Let me just tell you that. I don't have an allegiance to any of these people, none of them, okay? I'm on my own team. I'm not building my own fame here because I don't want people to look at me like I'm a personality, okay? I do have a personality. I enjoy your viewership. But we're in this together, okay? If you come watch Bill Smith videos, we're in this together. If Bill Smith is wrong about something, you better tell Bill Smith he's wrong, okay? You better tell me that I'm wrong, okay? But don't just sit there with your mouth shut when you have a thought that's really, really important to share that, you know, the leaders of your group have decided that you can't share that thought. I mean, what the hell? Seriously. So because Breitbart doesn't write something, you can't say it? Or because Lisa Mae Crowley on Twitter used to write for Breitbart, you can't say it? Really? You're not allowed to have your own opinions? Here, look at this. I don't know if you knew this, but Lisa Mae Crowley used to write for Breitbart. Prolifically. Lots of stuff. Now, I don't have a problem with it, man. I just know that Breitbart is funded by the Israelis. Netanyahu is in a picture with Andrew Breitbart when they started it, and that's who runs Breitbart conservative messaging. That's why it's pro-Israel, 100%. And here's what I could never get. Bannon, okay, Steve Bannon was a civic nationalist, I think, white nationalist. That's what people trying to tell him. People were saying Steve Bannon was a racist. I just don't see it, man. I don't see Steve Bannon being a racist. I don't think he cares. I don't think he's pro-Israel. I think Steve Bannon said some stuff so that he didn't get destroyed. Because Steve Bannon was at a Zionist conference and said, I'm a Zionist. You know, he had a Zionist button on. And the reason why I did a Tommy Robinson video is because the English Defamation League, English Defense League, the EDL, is that what it is? They destroyed British nationalism. That's what their purpose was. And they have a sign of a guy at one of the rallies saying that we're Zionist. And then you got Tommy Robinson wearing a Zionist pin. I think the same stuff applies to Steve Bannon, you know, but I don't think Bannon is actually a Zionist. I don't think Steve Bannon is a Zionist. You know, even if he says it. But I'm going to tell you that he has said it. Okay, so I just want to point this all out. When people say stuff, okay, people who have full control of the message, they have the biggest Twitter following online, right? Look, I just want to point this out. Lisa Mae Crowley, right? That's her last name, Crowley, Aleister Crowley. Okay, Lisa Mae Crowley, Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley is the father of modern Satanism, right? Aleister Crowley, Lisa Mae Crowley. She's been writing for Breitbart since back in 2011. So what I'm trying to point out is these aren't, they're part of the system, man. Okay, these people didn't come along later. They were sitting there waiting on Twitter for this thing to happen. They got on early. Go look at Lisa Mae's Twitter account, okay? Earliest QAnon post from what she told me. I didn't go look up this, but she told me that she got involved with QAnon in October of last year. And the thing that's weird for me was the first Q post was on like October 28th of 2017. Nobody knew about it. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get to. Nobody knew about it. I didn't know about it until January, and I was on the Chan boards. You know, Pamphlet, I trust him, and I know that he's been lurking on the boards forever. So you gotta, you know, Pamphlet's like a 10-year vet of the board. He saw it coming. I don't think Lisa Mae spends a lot of time on the Chan boards. That's just my guess. She's writing for Breitbart. They wouldn't let her. This is the earliest post that I could find on Breitbart. It says, Conservative Culture Warriors Unite at Big Dog Music Mafia. I guess she's got some like channel or something. Look, I found her website. You can go over here. Lisa Mae Norton at WordPress.com. That is the link. Lisa Mae Norton. But she calls her last name Crowley. Lisa Mae Crowley. She's a right-wing extremist. Lisa Mae Norton. I don't know where Norton comes from, man. I couldn't find it. Someone else can find that. I'm tired of looking. I'm just saying I don't know where the last name Norton came from. Someone should find that out. Go dig. Go dig on your own. I'm tired of doing this by myself. I'm the only one doing this, okay? Understand. I'm the only person doing this. I'm the only person talking about the things that I talk about. I'm the only person saying the things that I say. Understand that. No one else is saying this. Okay, but this guy, Aleister Crowley, spelled the same, okay? Norton to Crowley, same last name spelling. What is Aleister Crowley known for? British occultist, mystic, poet, social provocateur, famous for his development of the philosophical system called Thelema. Here's some more Thelema stuff. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. Love under will. This is a bunch of backwards way to say, be self-centered. Don't follow God. Don't listen to what God has to say. It's all about you and what you want to do. There's some truth in what he's saying too. That's the hard part to get around. There is some truth, and this is why Jewish rabbis don't believe in God. So get your head around that one. People can tell me I'm wrong. You'll find different opinions on that, but Jewish rabbis do not believe in God. They believe in the law, and that's why the Talmud is so big, because they figured out, once we figure out the natural law, we don't need God anymore. So that's where Jewish rabbis have gotten. They don't study the Torah. They study this encyclopedia of God law, right? Which was written by a man, a Jewish rabbi, back in like the 4th or 5th century, 3rd century. I think he's like the first person to actually write it down. So before that, it was the mystery schools, Mystery Babylon, Babylonian Talmud, which then became the oral tradition of the Jews. And this is like the language of the Pharisees, and this is what Jesus was fighting against. Let me make that really clear. Some of you don't know that at this point. So Jesus was fighting the Pharisees. Jesus was trying to say, look, God is not just the law. God is. He's inside of you. He's inside of me, right? God just is, right? And the Pharisees were really pissed at Jesus because Jesus was saying, don't listen to everything that these people say, right? The system is set up to destroy you and take your money. You give 2 pieces of gold to the money changer, and then the money changer gives you 1 piece of gold in return that has a different stamp on it because you can't give Caesar's gold to the tabernacle. That's it. That's all of it. So Jesus went after the money system. He went after the Jewish hardcore controlling system. They used to so when you'd go to the tabernacle to make your penance or whatever, right? Do your gifting to God, your holocausting. They used to sacrifice animals, and that's where Holocaust comes from, right? The blood sacrifice. That's what a Holocaust is. A burnt offering. So you'd cut this animal open, you'd drain it of all its blood, and then you'd burn it. And that's where Holocaust comes from. That's what that word means. Now, Holocaust sounds a lot like Holodomor. So there was a sacrifice there, but it's not a burnt offering. You get it? So the Holodomor sounds a lot like the Holocaust, but they're not the same. Why is that? Words have meaning, so why wouldn't we call it the same thing? So like I said, words have meaning. Aleister Crowley, this is the father of modern Satanism. All right, here's a quick search. Do what thou wilt. There's Jay-Z, and you can see all the stuff that goes along with it. It's not really positive stuff. Here's an upside-down cross, right? Just because it's cool. Here's pictures of Aleister Crowley. This is where it comes from. Do what thou wilt. Do whatever he tells you, upside-down stuff. There's a picture, just so you can see it. So look at the tags. This is where it all comes from. Aleister Crowley, Beyonce, cross symbols. Templi Orientis. Look, I can't even put it all together, but I'm just saying they call out Facebook, MSM, Reddit, and 4chan. But YouTube and Twitter are left off that. Twitter's just throttling, obviously. There's no Mossad stuff over there on Twitter. Why if you're around since 2011 writing for Breitbart, why would you pick the last name Crowley? Maybe that is your last name, okay, but you don't think people are going to think that's a little weird? It might dilute your message once people start to have questions about it. There's no possible way I would have used the screen name Crowley. I'm just saying. Until next time, this is Bill Smith. Thanks for watching.